Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially done with Super Bowl 60 here in Santa Clara, California / San Francisco, California. Those two cities are not really near each other. That's the first thing I learned about coming out here. My name is Tinsley, rather. I'm sitting beside my esteemed colleagues, the great Bill Rhoden, the great Jason Reid. We were in Levi Stadium for Super Bowl 60, where the Seattle Seahawks are once again Super Bowl champions. They beat the New England Patriots 29-13. I got a few things I want to ask you fellas, but first we're going to start off in a little bit of my wheelhouse. One of, if not the most anticipated Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny. I just want to know your initial thoughts. What did you see while in the stadium? What did you take away? I'll start with you, Bill.
Well, you know, I keep thinking about the fear of the riot is worse than the riot itself. You know, everybody's this whole anticipation about Bad Bunny, and clearly he's not in my wheelhouse. But
really?
No, man. I was just curious to find out what the reaction would be. You know, clearly the administration had all eyes on it. To be honest with you, Justin and Jay, the first thing I was looking for, would there really be an ICE presence?
Yeah.
They said there wouldn't be, but I wanted to find out for myself. So we cleared that hurdle. So far as I can see, I didn't see an ICE presence.
Right.
To be honest with you, that's what I was looking for, to see was there any kind of ICE presence, any kind of harassment. And it seemed like it was harassment free.
Yeah. What about you, Jay Reid?
Well, you know, Tins, obviously you're the music expert, I'm not, but I was really looking forward to seeing what this was going to be about, because Bad Bunny is, I think, the most streamed artist around the globe now.
Yep.
Even more so than Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I don't speak Spanish. I wish I did, because it'd be very helpful. But even though he was going to be performing, you know, none of his songs in English, because of how big of a global iconic star he is, and also because just hearing his story, and you know, he's been passionate about what's been going on. Mm-hmm. So I was very interested in seeing it, and you know, sitting up in the press box, they didn't have the sound playing, so all you could hear was, you know, kind of muffled.
Yeah.
But I watched the show on you know, in the press box, and he had some iconic people involved with it. I mean, Cardi B was in it.
Yeah.
Jessica Alba, Pedro Pascal.
Yep, he was there.
You know, and when I saw those people, it hit me that they wanted to be involved in that because of their backgrounds and what Bad Bunny was saying. And I thought it was very powerful. You know, all of the imagery, what went on in the show. You know, he's obviously talking about his roots, and that culture is part of this culture.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really enjoyed it, even though I couldn't hear it. Visually, what I saw, I really enjoyed, and the fact that so many of these, you know, actors and you know, people of Latino descent who wanted to be involved, people who were these big stars, like I said, Jessica Alba, Cardi B, Pedro Pascal. So that really moved me. And then at the end, when, you know, the message was the only thing more powerful than hate is love.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't trying to divide anybody. He was trying to say, hey, let's bring people together. So I didn't hear it, but I saw it, and I was moved by what I saw.
So you all were in the press box. I was sitting on press row around like the 200 section. And one thing I will say is this, for anybody who looked at it on TV, being in the stadium, you could feel the energy and you could feel the anticipation, especially, you know, with the first half being, I think it was 9-0 Seattle. And there was a lot of, it was a defensive minded game, I guess you could say. But as we got closer to halftime, when we got to that 2-minute warning, you could feel the energy. And so, like, when halftime came, where I was sitting, at least what I was looking at, no one left their seats. I think everyone, whether you are a huge Bad Bunny fan, whether you don't really care about his music, you wanted to see what that moment was going to feel like. And in a lot of cases, you don't really get a lot of moments anymore in pop culture. So that was a great halftime show. It'll be really interesting to see what type of like coverage and awards, because Rock Nation the Super Bowl halftime show, Apple Music, they've been running away with the Emmys for their production and their presentation. But I want to focus a little bit more on football itself. One of the big topics this week, as you all very well know, is black head coaches, or the lack thereof in the NFL. There were 10 openings for head coaching vacancies in the NFL this year, none of which went to black head coaches. So, Reid, I'll start with you on this one. Is there anything that can compel these owners to actually want to change this? Because it really doesn't feel like there's a necessity for them. Like, it's going to be an elephant in the room until it's no longer an elephant in the room.
Yeah, I mean, 0 for 10 on black coaches, 1 for 9 on coaches of color. There was only one coach of color, Robert Saleh, who's of Lebanese descent. You know, the league keeps talking about the fact that it wants to be inclusive from the front office to the field, that its diverse workforce is its strength. Well, the reality of it is the head coach position is the face of a football team, that and quarterback. And when your head coach is someone who is the leader and you have 10 openings and no one black gets one job, and it shouldn't just be limited to just one job. It's about, okay, do these black coaches in the league, assistants, have the same opportunities that white assistants have? And, you know, in terms of whether or not there's anything can be done, the league keeps talking about different things. I mean, I think a big problem is that most of these owners now pick head coaches from offensive coordinators, so they're going to the offensive side of the ball. And just this past year, there were no black offensive coordinators in the NFL, not one. So if you're the pool that you're going to pick from consistently is offensive coordinators, and there are no black offensive coordinators, well, it stands to reason that there are not going to be a lot of black head coaches hired. So the league has to continue to look at doing different things. You know, there's talk about awarding draft picks. You know, if a team hires a black coach, those are proposals. You know, you don't know how those things would actually work. But at the end of the day, 0 for 10 is just not acceptable when the league is saying that's not what it wants.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's been this whole war on diversity. There's been a war, an all-out war on diversity. The NFL at its core is very conservative. Nearly all the owners contribute more to Republican causes. So I think that they're not being compelled to like do the right thing. I mean, I think they're very content to have a thing where you've got black labor on the field, you know, running and jumping. You know, the running back Walker was the MVP. You know, they have no problem with, you know, having 70% of the labor being black. But, you know, when it comes to leadership, that's been the issue. One thing I would like to see, you know, you say, we talk about the league is 70% black. These guys, man, have got to start talking up the black assistants, you know, and so some assistants have said that we wish the players we coach would give us more shine, talk more about us, and they don't, a lot of them do not do that. And I think that that's one thing, and it's a message to the leadership of the team, that we notice the job that these black assistants are doing, and we're going to publicly acknowledge them. So I think that you can't make the owners, these multi-billionaires, do what they don't want to do, but the labor force, which is 70% black, has to show the 70% muscle and say, hey, there are a lot of young, great black assistants, and they're doing a great job. So I'd like to see that moving forward. You guys have to start speaking up.
All right, so guys, we just left Levi Stadium, and obviously the Seattle Seahawks are the new Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Seattle Seahawks, but let's look forward to next season. It's a long off season. We got to go through free agency, got to go through the draft, OTAs, training camps before we even get to the preseason. Looking forward to the 2026 season, Bill, I'm gonna start with you on this one. What are you most looking forward to? What is a storyline? What is a player? What is a coach? What are you most looking forward to in 2026?
Black quarterbacks being back in the Super Bowl for our purpose. I mean, it's just more juice. You know, we were talking about that. You know, we've been kind of spoiled. You've had Mahomes, you've had Hurts and all that. So, yeah, I'm looking for a rebound and we've got a lot of, you know, this year we started the year with half of the starting NFL quarterbacks were black. And so, yeah, I think that I would like to see that. I mean, Lamar would be great if Lamar could finally find his way into the Super Bowl. But they've got a really nice group of black quarterbacks that I would like to see, back in this game. So that's what I'd be looking forward to.
What about you, Jay Reid?
Well, to piggyback, Tins, on what Bill just said, I look at Patrick Mahomes. Like for the first time since he was drafted by the Chiefs, they didn't at least make the AFC Championship game. They didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Right.
He ended the season having knee surgery after being injured late in the year, almost at the end of the year. There's all this talk that he's now quote unquote mid. Is that the term?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the youth are saying.
Okay. That he's fallen off. That the Chiefs are done. And knowing him a little bit and how he motivates himself,
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see when he gets back and if they can go on another run, because they've gone on one of the great runs in the Super Bowl era, and I want to see if they can climb the mountain again with him.
It's crazy because we're talking about what we're looking forward to in the next season, and the off season has just started. But if you know anything about the NFL, the offseason is really just a word. The NFL is a 12-month business. So before we know it, training camp will be here. But before we get out of here, I think I just want to say again, congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. Congratulations to Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, which really shocked me. And we were talking about this on the walk over here. It's just he's the first running back to be Super Bowl MVP since Terrell Davis. Since Terrell Davis with the Denver Broncos. But I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, fellas. Let's go listen to some Bad Bunny. We can talk about what my Cowboys are going to do next year, other than probably just make me sad again. But again, I'm Justin Tinsley, my esteemed colleagues, Jason Reid, Bill Rhoden. This is a wrap, not just on this, but this is a wrap on the 2025 NFL season, as crazy as that sounds.